guys, welcome back to Jay vs. Horror. I'm your host, Jay Wall, and today, guys, we are taking on the top 10 horror films of 2018. Now, this is our 18th step on our 21-step path to naming the top 10 horror films of the last 2 decades. Now, 2018 is a pretty subjective year. I'd say there's a lot of mid-range films, and there's a few at the top. So it's pretty much just whatever you enjoyed the most. Now, guys, with that in mind, there are a lot of films that are going to be on other people's lists that did not make my list. And there's a lot of films that didn't make my list, but I really enjoyed them. They were just a little bit outside where I needed them to be to make the top 10. Now, films like Possum and even the 2018 version of Halloween, The Nun, also films like Climax, The Summer of '84, and Annihilation. They were good films, but they just didn't make my list. So let's get started, guys, with my number 10 pick for 2018, Downrange. Now, guys, you have to remember, we're in an era of filmmaking where the release date may say 2016, it may say 2017, but all these horror films go through festivals, and as far as I know, Downrange was not released until I saw it on Shudder in April of 2018. So that's why I have it in my 2018 list and not my 2017 list. And we could go on and on about that for every single film that we've talked about over the last 5 years. Downrange is an American horror thriller film written and directed by Ryu Kitamura, and it stars Kelly Conner, Stephanie Pearson, and Rod Hernandez. The plot follows Todd, his girlfriend Sarah, and their new carpooling friends Jody, Kieran, Jeff, and Eric, who become stranded on a remote country road when their SUV suffers a tire blowout. While changing the tire, Jeff is suddenly killed by silent sniper fire. From here, the film becomes a hostage-type situation where these kids are now trapped by a psychopath with a rifle and deadly, deadly skills. I found this one to be a pretty original take on a slasher film. We have seen this setup before in things like Phone Booth from 2 decades earlier, but I don't think we've ever seen it put forth in the slasher film type sense. Let's take a look at the trailer for Downrange.
Is everyone all right?
Signal's got a mind of its own.
Say pit stop.
Pit stop. Pit stop.
Stay back!
Fucking tell you!
Hurry up!
He's just taking his time.
We move. We're dead.
At number 9, The Devil's Doorway. It's an Irish found-footage horror film directed by Aislinn Clark. The story follows 2 Irish Roman Catholic priests, Father Thomas Riley and Father John Thornton, who are sent to investigate a reported miracle at a remote Magdalen laundry. However, the 2 priests soon discover something horrific and sinister is happening to this remote sect of nuns. I found this little film to be severely underrated in 2018. It's got a great story and a ton of dark atmosphere. Let's take a look at the trailer for The Devil's Doorway.
I believe in God, but doing this kind of work doesn't bring you any closer to God. Look around you, John. Do you think God is here, in this place? This place disgusts me. The people who run this place disgust me. Reverend Mother, would you like to comment about what's been going on?
There is evil in this place.
What's happening here?
This room is off limits, Father!
There's something going on in this house. Hello?
You are not prepared for this, Father Riley.
I've seen moving statues. I've seen water turned into wine. I've seen miracles, John. But that's not what's happening here.
Prepare yourself, Father.
God in heaven. Evil is all around us, John. The devil doesn't have to hide. He roams freely amongst us.
Father Thomas!
The Father commands you! God the Son commands you! God the Holy Ghost commands you! Bless me, Father, for I have sinned.
At number 8, Unsane. It's an American psychological horror film directed by Steven Soderbergh and written by Jonathan Bernstein and James Greer. The film stars Claire Foy, Joshua Leonard from the Blair Witch Project, and comedian Jay Farrow, along with Juno Temple and Amy Irving. The film follows the plot of a woman who is confined to a mental institution after she is pursued by a stalker. Unsane presents several different layers of horror, including a healthcare system that puts more emphasis on making money than on patients' actual health, and also the fear of being gaslighted and subsequently trapped with someone who is trying to hurt you. The film got a lot of notoriety for being shot solely on an iPhone 7 Plus, but let's be honest, Steven Soderbergh has a lot better editing equipment than any of the rest of us do. Let's take a look at the trailer for Unsane.
Your life slips away from you, you know? Changing your phone number and your email becomes normal. Taking out a restraining order, normal. Relocating to another city, normal.
But you still see your stalker everywhere?
Rationally, I know this is my imagination, but I'm alone in a strange city and I never feel safe.
There's some more forms you need to fill out. It's just routine.
I finished my homework.
Sawyer Valentini, please follow me.
Well, look, I don't have a lot of time. I should be back at work, so what am I doing in here?
Take off your clothes down to your underwear.
I'm not sure what's happening here. The door's locked.
It would be better for everyone, especially yourself, if you just do as I ask.
There's been some kind of mistake.
By signing this, you've consented to voluntary commitment.
I am being held here against my will.
Do you know how many calls the cops get like that every week?
Those are from crazy people. This man, he's followed me all the way here from Boston.
I'm calling the cops. I want him arrested.
My stalker is here.
We did a thorough background check.
You should be protecting me. Mom, no one believes me.
I'm getting you out.
There's nothing we can do unless you have proof that a crime's been committed.
I must be insane. I must be insane.
My mom didn't pick up last night. Hello?
I must be insane.
What happened to her? A dead body was discovered.
I must be insane. I must be insane. I must be insane. I must be insane.
I'm not crazy! He's here. Or maybe it's all in my head.
At number 7, Suspiria. It's a supernatural horror film directed by Luca Guadagnino, and it's also inspired, of course, by the 1977 Italian film directed by the great Dario Argento. It stars Dakota Johnson as an American woman who enrolls at a prestigious dance academy in Berlin, run by a coven of witches. Tilda Swinton co-stars in 3 roles here, including the dance company's lead choreographer, and also as a male psychotherapist involved in the academy. Mia Goth, Elena Fokina, and Chloe Grace Moretz appear in supporting roles as students. And we even get a great cameo here from Jessica Harper, who was the star of the original film. I found this story to be more of a retelling than a remake. And although I did have some issues with some of the casting and a few of the scenes in the film, I still found it to be a very haunting and solid horror film. Let's take a look at the trailer for 2018's Suspiria.
At the beginning, she gave me things. Perfect balance, perfect sleep. Oh, she wants to get inside of me. I can feel her. Oh, she can see me.
When you dance the dance of another, you make yourself in the image of its creator.
I feel like I'm not even here yet.
The dumpling's incredible.
1, 2, 3.
The way she transmits her work.
You have to decide, what is it you want to be for this company?
There's more in that building than what you can see, Doctor.
You are living with dangerous people.
Three mothers, pre-God, pre-devil. Mother Tenebrarum, Mother Lacrimarum, and Mother Suspiriorum. Darkness, tears, and sighs.
You're making some kind of deal with them.
I don't know what you're talking about. It's all a mess. The one out there. The one in here. The one that's coming.
At number 6, What Keeps You Alive? It's a Canadian thriller film written and directed by Colin Minahan, who is one half of the Vicious Brothers, a team of directors who made films like Grave Encounters and Grave Encounters Part 2. It stars Hannah Emily Anderson and Brittany Allen and follows the story of a young woman fighting for her life as her wife's vile and murderous intentions become increasingly more evident. And guys, I like this one a lot. It's not anything we haven't seen before as far as the way the setup goes, but these characters are interesting and new, and definitely the film is worth a look. Let's roll the trailer for What Keeps You Alive.
There's a demon.
I never told you about my first wife, did I? Erica. We got married when I was only 19. I mourned her, prayed with her parents, cried at her funeral. And of course, it has to look like an accident.
Did Megan not tell you anything about Jenny?
No, never. I'll do the same at yours.
You must be confused. I mean, why would your wife do this to you? Probably thinking, we're in love, right?
Feel that? Your heart is racing. What do you feel?
Steady.
Exactly.
Done playing around. I know these woods. I
the back of my hand.
What turned you into this monster? It's nature, not nurture. All those people, they trusted you. I trusted you.
I'm free in all the ways you're not.
You're trapped by emotions, weighed down by guilt. You are never going to do this again. I'm not going to let you do it again. Your conscience isn't a source of strength. It's your Achilles heel.
My dad.
He used to say to me, you only kill what keeps you alive.
I will bleed myself dry.
At number 5, A Quiet Place. It's an American post-apocalyptic science fiction horror film directed by and starring John Krasinski, of course, Jim from The Office. Written by Brian Wood, Scott Beck, and Krasinski himself, the plot revolves around a father, played by Krasinski, and a mother, played by his real-life wife, Emily Blunt, who struggle to survive and raise their children in a post-apocalyptic world inhabited by blind extraterrestrial monsters with an acute sense of hearing. A lot of people say this film is overrated, but in my opinion, it is underrated in some aspects, including Krasinski's direction and performance. Great Father's Day horror film, guys. Let's take a look at the trailer for A Quiet Place.
Fighting a massive invasion. Total devastation.
At number 4, The House That Jack Built. It's a psychological horror art film written and directed by the great Lars von Trier. It stars Matt Dillon, Uma Thurman, and Jeremy Davies. Its plot follows Jack, a serial killer who over a 12-year period from the late 1970s into the 1980s, commits numerous murders in the U.S. state of Washington. Utilizing Dante's Inferno as a metatext, the film is structured as a series of flashbacks relayed by Jack to the Roman poet Virgil, during which Jack attempts to make an argument for his crimes. Now guys, this one's not for everyone. At times it can be very hyper-violent, and at other times it can be kind of slow. But I found it to be absolutely amazing. It's one of my favorite serial killer films. Let's take a look at the trailer for The House That Jack Built.
Your house is a fine little house, Jack.
Are you allowed to speak along the way? I was thinking there might be rules.
Let me put it this way. Very few make it all the way without uttering a word. But do carry on merrily, just don't believe you're going to tell me something I haven't heard before.
Oops, that was maybe a mistake.
What was maybe a mistake?
Me getting in this car with you. You might as well be a serial killer. Sorry, but you do kind of look like one.
Like screaming. I definitely think that you should.
Nobody wants to help! Hey, make some handle, take things over. Hey, let's him loose, hard to swallow.
Mind if I take a look in the van, please, sir?
I'd be a bad guy if I said no. Some people claim that the atrocities we commit in our fiction are those inner desires which we cannot commit in our controlled civilization. So they are expressed instead through our art. I don't agree. I believe heaven and hell are one and the same. The soul belongs to heaven and the body to hell. When I think about all the things I've done in my life without in any way resulting in punishment.
At number 3, Hereditary. It's an American supernatural horror film written and directed by Ari Aster, and his feature film directorial debut. It stars Toni Collette, Alex Wolff, Millie Shapiro, and Gabriel Byrne, as a family haunted by a mysterious presence after the death their secretive grandmother. This one split audiences. It's very polarizing. Not everyone enjoyed it, but for me, I thought it was solid. I did have some issues with the setup to this film, including some of the death sequences. Not that they were too violent or anything, I just didn't think they made sense to the overall story here, which is that this family is basically being stalked by a cult, and so I didn't understand how the cult could have set up all the different things that happened to the family. But other than that, I enjoyed it. I mean, the performances here are stellar, especially from Toni Collette. And the direction from Ari Aster proves that he's going to be a force in the horror genre for years to come. Let's take a look at the trailer for Hereditary.
Come on, Peter. Let's just do it.
It's heartening to see so many strange new faces here today. I know my mom would be very touched and probably a little suspicious. My mother was a very secretive and private woman. It's Grandma. You know you were her favorite, right? Even when you were a little baby, she wouldn't let me feed you because she needed to feed you. She was a very difficult woman, which maybe explains me.
I recognize you from your mother.
What?
Sometimes I swear I can feel her in the room.
Oh my God! What's that?
She isn't gone.
She had private rituals, private friends.
Who's gonna take care of me?
You don't think I'm gonna take care of you?
But when you die.
She wasn't altogether there. At the end.
Mom?
I don't like this. Dad, I don't like this.
What's happening? Peter!
voicing me. I am your mother. Please stop. Mom, what's happening? Make it stop. Make it stop.
I just don't want to put any more stress on my family.
At number 2, Ghostland. Also known as Incident in a Ghostland, it's a psychological horror film that's an international co-production. It was written and directed by the great Pascal Laguerre, who you probably remember from the film Martyrs. The film begins with a woman inheriting her late aunt's house and moving in with her daughters. During their first night there, a gang of murderers break in, and events change the family's lives forever. 16 years later, one of the now adult daughters returns to the house to visit her mother and her severely traumatized sister. Guys, I felt like this one was really underrated from 2018, and while it's not on the same level of perfection that Martyrs is, it's still a very excellent and violent horror film. Let's take a look at the trailer for Ghostland.
Patrick had a vague feeling something was about to happen. Something in the breeze of twilight had whispered, "It's going to happen tonight."
You just passing through?
No, we're moving here into Aunt Clarice's house.
Okay, what's the story about?
Some guy's been breaking into people's homes, murdering the parents, and sparing the daughters. He stays in the house with her, along with the parents' dead bodies. I like to write stories.
Incident in a Ghostland is your most personal book so far.
Your sales are through the roof. They adore you.
Hello?
Please, you have to come back.
Vera?
They never should have stayed in that house.
Capacity to create your own worlds.
I guess the question is, why write this book?
To keep from going insane.
She keeps reliving that night over and over.
Are you gonna let me die alone? I never should have stayed in that house.
Nobody's here. No one is here, Vera.
I know what you want from your sister.
They broke me, and now they're playing with you.
Do you understand now, Beth?
What did you do to me? Except what happened. Tell me what you did! Stop running away!
At number 1, Mandy. Now guys, these last 5 films that we've talked about are pretty interchangeable as far as where I could put them in that last top 5. However, Mandy for me was the most enjoyable, and it's the one I rewatched the most in 2018 and have watched the most since 2018. It's an action horror film directed by Panos Cosmatos, director of Beyond the Black Rainbow. It was produced by Elijah Wood and co-written by Cosmatos and Aaron Stewart On, based on a story Cosmatos conceived by himself. It's a co-production of the United States and Canada, and the film stars Nicolas Cage, Andrea Riseborough, and of course, the great Bill Duke. The film starts off somewhere near the Shadow Mountains in the year of 1983, where we see Red Miller, played by Nicolas Cage, who lives with his girlfriend, artist Mandy Bloom, in a cabin near the lake. Red works as a logger, while Mandy has a day job as a cashier at a nearby gas station in the woods. One day, Mandy inadvertently catches the attention of a violent cult leader who decides to destroy Red and Mandy's lives forever. It's a trippy little film that's often referred to as acid horror, but for me, guys, it's just a straight up slam bang action horror film, and it's one of my favorites of the last decade. Let's take a look at the trailer for Mandy.
closed around the serpent's eye. Strange and eternal.
I need you to get me that girl I saw. You know what to do.
You're a special one, Mandy. I, too, am a special one. Let us be so very special together.
So what you gonna do with that, man?
I'm going hunting.
So what you hunting?
It's crazy evil.
You think you're so in love? I'll show you love.
Oh, man. What's wrong with you? You exceed the cosmic darkness.
It glowed from within, strange and eternal.
All right, horror fans, that's all we have for this episode. Those are my top 10 favorite films of 2018, guys. We are almost finished with this journey. It's been a fun ride. Now, don't forget to like and subscribe, and please let us know in the comments where you think I screwed up. Do I have something too high on the list, something too low on the list? Did something not make the list? And remember, it's quite possible that if one of your favorite films didn't make this list, that I talked about it previously in a 2017 video or maybe even a 2016 video, because like I said, the release dates on these films for the last decade have been pretty dodgy, because they come out one year, they run through the festival circuit, and then they're released a year or two down the road for everyone to see publicly. Now, don't forget to join us for our last 3 episodes. We'll be doing the top 10 horror films of 2019, and then we'll jump right into my top 10 horror films of this year, 2020. And from there, on New Year's Day, we will have the top 10 horror films of the last 2 decades. And guys, as always, we will talk to you the next time we've got something worth talking about. Bye.